Have you ever encountered someone on the internet that made you feel uncomfortable?
Of course, you always get those like weird stalker people from like MySpace.
I used to use MySpace, and you know, you'll see girls or guys or whatever, and they'll kind of stalk you. They're like someone you met once, and they keep sending you messages, and you feel bad. You don't want to tell them like, look, I got enough friends.
Like 18-year-old girl, and she was like asking me like a whole bunch of questions.
First off, I didn't know who he was. For MySpace, he commented like a lot of my pictures, saying how I look good and stuff, and it was just awkward because he looked old in his pictures.
Do you know anyone who was pursued by someone threatening on the internet?
Actually, yeah, friend in high school. Well, not so much a friend. He was a chill cat, but he wasn't too much of a friend necessarily. But yeah, he met a guy online and took advantage of him.
A friend of mine her boyfriend was threatened by someone on the internet, which turned out to be another person that liked her, and there was a police involved and all that stuff.
I've heard stories of people locally that have had a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a scare maybe. Usually it involves girls.
She's a friend of ours. They didn't realize what kind of trouble they were getting into, but when we found out, we told her to deal with the situation, and she did, and it was kind of left alone.
My friend, she's 15. She was on the internet one day, and this guy asked her if she wanted to meet her, and she said no, and then her mom called the cops, and the cops went there, and they winded up getting the guy.
I've gone to the library, and it's pretty much public, so you can see what people on the computers doing. And you see like these 40, 50, elderly men on the computer, like MySpace, and you see them signing on, and you see their picture, and it's like this young, handsome, built guy, and then, you know, they're talking to young girls on the internet who are responding to them, and it's like, you know, they're definitely taking advantage of girls, and who knows, maybe they're meeting these men and what's happening. So yeah, definitely.
You really do have to beware of weird stalker people on the internet.
Seriously though, you can never be too careful.
You're right. As much fun as social networking sites like MySpace and Facebook are, you do have to exercise some caution.
I've heard many stories of people's identity being stolen and personal web pages being hacked into.
The internet is an amazing information and communication tool.
But we do have to be responsible and aware of our surroundings on the World Wide Web, just as we have to in the real world.
Internet concerns, privacy, and predators. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Jack.
And I'm Jess.
And this is Realfaith TV. Many of the teens in the street encountered an incident on the internet that made them or a friend feel uncomfortable.
We'll hear from them again later in the show and talk with our studio guests about their concerns regarding privacy and predators on the internet.
But first, let's meet our spotlight guest Amanda and get her thoughts about this.
I've never encountered someone on the internet that made me feel uncomfortable because I only talk to people that I'm friends with on the internet. When I had my MySpace account, I put mine on private, and only I could request friends, and people I requested were the friends I talked to every day. Someone actually went out with someone she met on MySpace. She met him like 2 times and went out with him for like 3 months after that. I think it's dangerous because you don't know who is behind there, like who you're talking to. It could be like a 40-year-old man behind there just waiting for you to like meet them. So I think that's dangerous. I am surprised because my friends, they'll put like anything, and I go on their screen name, look at their profile, go on MySpace, and you could find out everything, like how old they are, where they were born, and it has like all pictures of their friends and what they did, when, where, and they don't think that anything's gonna happen to them.
My friends do post a lot of stuff on their MySpace, but like Amanda, they keep it set to private.
I'm always surprised when someone thinks it's safe to meet someone they met on the internet.
Let's see what our studio guests think about this.
They are Chris, Megan, Mark, Mike, Keishi, and Lauren.
So have any of you guys ever had an experience on the internet that made you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, I have. When I was in a chat room once, and a lot of people were asking people like ASL, which means like age, sex, and location, and it was just a weird position to be asked that.
I can't remember a time when I personally did, but I know that many people I know have met people on Facebook before going off to school, and then after meeting them in person, they're not the people that they said they were. And in one extreme case, it turned out to be someone who was stealing, and just dangerous situations.
I'm not really on the computer, but when I am, I don't feel uncomfortable because I don't go to chat rooms and stuff like that. I just use MySpace, and it's not like I put mine on private. It's just with my friends and no one else.
I remember I had a friend. She had a MySpace, and her mother didn't know about it, and of course, she was going around and just finding random people, and it ended up she gave out her phone number, so it turned out to be an older guy, and he kept calling her repetitively, and she couldn't get away from it. So finally the cops had to get involved. It was a big thing.
Why does it matter what information you include on your internet webpage if you have set security measures?
And are you totally safe from hackers and identity stealers if your page is set to private?
Amanda no longer has a MySpace since she was phished. That's P-H-I-S-H, not F-I-S-H.
Let's hear her story now.
No one spread information about me, but people did get into my account. It was called phishing. It's where they use a counterfeit website where they trick people into making them believe that you're going onto their website, and they'll change the URL by a letter, or they'll add words or numbers to make it look like an actual website. And that's how they got my password and got into my MySpace. I go on MySpace pretty much every day when I had it. And I noticed that from my MySpace, they would send out the advertisements. It started with free iPods, free ringtones, and it went to pornographic advertisements. Click on this website and you'll get free ringtones, or look at this girl that you'll meet, and all random stuff like that. So all my friends thought it was coming from me. They completely took it over. I went on, I tried to research how to delete my MySpace, and I tried what they told me to do, and it would not work. I was getting upset about it, my parents were getting upset about it, and it took us 2-3 months to get it off. We contacted the MySpace, we sent out emails trying to get rid of it, and it took until my mom had to call the authorities in New York to get it removed, because they did it immediately. When they got into my MySpace, they also got into my email address, but it was just a scary experience because they could have gotten to everything I had on the computer.
That's really scary. That's never actually happened to me, but I've seen those ads all over the internet.
Yeah, I have to agree. I've also seen that on other websites like eBay and sometimes even banking websites. You'll get these emails saying, please log in and check your account, and you don't even have an account and you're wondering what's going on.
Yeah. And then also the phishing and hacking. I guess it was within the past year. I was sending emails to my friend from camp, and that was really, since she lived far away, the only means of communication I had with her, and wasn't getting any replies. And eventually I got in contact with her, and she said, I just need to stop emailing altogether. There was a phishing, hacking problem, and it was really sad for her because then she can't communicate with people.
Yeah, I have a MySpace, and there's these things called bulletins on MySpace, where it's all your friends can see what bulletins you post, and if you have a friend who's been hacked or phished, then the spam bulletins will show up and everything. So I usually delete the people who've been hacked and phished and everything because they have all those free ringtone bulletins and everything, and it clogs up your MySpace and everything. And that has to stink because you've lost control of your MySpace, but it's even worse when you have personal information on your website and someone has control of your website. That's pretty scary because just flipping through Facebook, it's not hard to find people who've listed their home addresses, landlines, cell phone numbers, and more.
Also, many students list their class schedules, making it twice as easy for a predator to find them.
Does it surprise you the amount of personal information that people post on their pages?
And what kind of precautions, if any, do you take to avoid predators on the internet?
That's what we asked the teens of the street.
Let's check it out.
Have you ever been surprised by how much information about individual people is available on the internet?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't put anything about me on there.
Everyone has a MySpace, so you can find out a lot of stuff on MySpace of people.
Yeah, there's all kinds of information on people. You can look up anything. You can look out where they live.
You can find out where they live, their phone number, and what they do in their spare time and stuff.
They put everything about their lives, when they were born, everything where they live, and I think that's really wrong because anybody could go there and get you.
It makes you an easy target for predators.
Yeah, because I found out my roommate who lives in Maine, and I didn't know his name, but I could still figure out where he lives and everything. It's kind of scary.
Do you and your friends take precautions when avoiding predators on the internet?
If someone like instant messages you or something, I always find out who it is right away. If they don't tell me, I just block them.
Well, I only talk to people that I know, basically.
Okay.
I deny everybody else.
I don't talk to people unless I know them.
Well, I'm on MySpace and I keep my profile on private in some spots.
We don't accept people that we don't know as friends.
Do you think that teenagers today are concerned about predators and about their privacy on the internet?
Not really. I mean, everyone thinks that nothing can happen to them.
Yeah, it's really bad.
I am, and I'm a teen, so I think other teens would be.
I think it depends on the age of the person, because if you're older, like 18 or 19, you're not going to care about it so much. But if you're like 13 or 14, it's a new experience for you, and you don't know how to handle it exactly.
I don't think we're concerned, and we should be.
I think teenagers, for the most part, are more on the fearless side, where they're not really thinking about that. They're there for whatever their reasons are, to associate themselves with their friends and have fun and communicate that way.
I feel like people like to stretch their boundaries as far as they can, and sometimes people don't know how far they go until something bad happens.
Do you and your friends seriously worry about predators on the internet?
Or do you agree with the one guy on the street who said that we think nothing can happen to us?
I personally am not worried about them, but my friend who has a MySpace is, because one of his relatives got hacked, so he's like on the clock patrol when he goes on MySpace.
I'm not worried about it at all because I don't have MySpace myself, but I have AIM and I IM people, and I'm just really not that worried because I only talk to screen names that I know, so.
Yeah. I am personally worried because my friend who was getting phone calls and all that, it makes me worry, but some of my friends, they're not as worried. They think, oh, because I'm private on MySpace, but who knows how far that can go.
I kind of had a disagreement with my friend because I don't have a MySpace, and he was trying to get me to sign up for one to get one. And he was like, I'm so sick of people saying how dangerous MySpace is and everything like that. And I was like, well, if people are saying that, shouldn't you, make the connection that maybe there's some truth to it?
I don't really worry because I'm not really on the computer as much, but when I am, I take caution. I make sure that I know the people who I'm talking to and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd have to say I use Facebook and MySpace, but I'm not on there enough where I really worry about my information going anywhere or anyone trying to steal my information.
But we really don't know who's behind a screen name or who's behind a web page, so we do have to take a lot of precaution.
That's right. It's important to remember that there's a certain level of anonymity online.
People lie. Middle-aged men can pretend to be teenagers.
Teenage girls can pretend to be college women.
And college guys can pretend to be high school guys.
There's no limit because there's no contact.
When you haven't met someone in person, you just don't know who they are.
But even if you're safe in who you communicate with, you can still become a victim.
Next, let's hear from the teens on the street about whether they've been a victim of identity theft on the internet.
I mean, people will take my screen or whatever and go on and talk to people.
Someone copy and pasted my picture as theirs, and then they were just asking everybody to be their friends, and they just asked me to be my own friend.
Well, they made a fake MySpace about me. That was really it, though.
Someone hacked onto my MySpace and said a whole bunch of other things, so I don't have one anymore.
I've had my MySpace hacked into. I've had some weird guy that was moving into my area message me and say, hey baby, let's meet up somewhere. It's a little scary, but there's things that you can do if you're really worried about it.
I don't do things like MySpace, and if some random survey pops up asking for your information, I never fill it out. So I definitely do safeguard my personal information when I'm online.
I don't really use the internet like that because there's a lot of stuff going on.
My MySpace is on private. I only accept people that, I know.
Get it blocked. I don't put nothing on my profile.
I don't really bother. If people want to know about me, they can know about me.
I just have standards of where I want to go.
If I go on the internet, I don't post nothing that's about my life. If I post something, I would just post my friends, just talk to them. Nothing about personal in my life.
For my page, I put it on private, and then you can hide that you're online, or you can check off the things that you the people you want to see your page, like friends only or under 18 only for your age. But then again, they could be lying about their age.
I was stupid and put where I lived, and that's something I've learned from. Don't put where you live on the internet. That's stupid.
According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 1 in 7 children in America between ages 10 and 17 is sexually solicited online.
Since it was discovered that many sex offenders had profiles on MySpace, the company decided to remove about 29,000 profiles from their site and turn names over to law enforcement in all 50 states.
We need to be on our guard and aware when surfing the internet.
Because there are people who lurk in the shadows and prey on the innocent.
So what are some of the precautions that you guys take to be safe when surfing the web?
And have you ever had your identity stolen?
Well, I have to say that when I use my Facebook and my MySpace, I try to keep my personal information private or not put it on there at all. That way I feel a little bit safer.
And I don't have a MySpace at all, so I guess that's the precaution I take. But even when using email and IMing people, if you get an email or an IM from a screen name or an email address that you don't know, don't open it, don't answer it.
Yeah, and I don't put my personal information online because it's just plain risky.
I've never had my identity stolen, and I don't have a MySpace, and I am proud not to have a MySpace. My friends often say, like, oh, why don't you get a MySpace? Why don't you have one? I say, I don't want one because it's one less thing for me to worry about. It doesn't matter if you have it on private, there's always that little risk. Well, that's what I feel, and it's just easier not to have it to deal with.
Yeah, I'd say I'm agreeing with Casey that just don't put any personal information on, or if you're going to, make sure that it's for a reliable source and you know they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, like my friend, she actually registered for like a card for a store on the computer, and she was on MySpace, and she met the administrator of the site where she registered her information, and through that he was like talking to her, and because he had her information, he like stalked her and everything. So like you said, you really have to make sure when you're putting information like for cards or something, when you think it's perfectly okay, that it's a credible source.
Yeah, when I'm surfing MySpace and stuff, I make sure not to click on any links, you know, because a lot of those links lead to websites where they can steal your password and everything. So I stay away from everything like that. I just do profiles and everything, so that I'm surfing MySpace safely. And it's really it's bad, like when people get phished and everything, that kind of ruins the whole experience, because MySpace and Facebook and stuff can be fun networking sites where like you're talking with your friends and everything, and it's bad when people get hacked, because I mean, even with Amanda, that whole phishing experience just really turned her off from MySpace.
And now she's found other things to spend her time on.
When I was being phished, you could tell if other people were being phished because everyone just got advertisements now. So used to seeing the advertisements that they didn't take anything seriously. They just delete it right away. And not a lot of people use MySpace anymore. Like I talked to my friends, they all moved to like other stuff or just deleted their MySpace. I wasn't that upset about the advertisements because everyone was being set out. I knew it wasn't from me, but it was the point of them getting into my password every time I changed it. I changed my password about 3 times and they still got into it and still sent out the advertisements. I just was so sick of it. Now I understand like you can't put your personal information on it because it just takes one person to get like where you live and they can find out so much more about you, and it's just a scary thing. It's like all teenagers think like it's never gonna happen to them, but it can. Because I took the same way. Like I always thought like, oh, if I put where I live or if I say like I'm a cheerleader, no one will find out. But it's so fast, like they'll find out everything about you. The thing I miss about having a MySpace and a Facebook account is the way I just can't comment a person. I have to like IM them. Or if like your acquaintances with someone, it's just like a friendly hey would be good. Not literally like calling them up and like having a full out conversation. But the thing I don't miss is it was like addictive. Like I would go on the computer and go on that right away. So now I just have more time to myself. I did pray a couple times for it to be off because I was trying so hard. Like I did everything that they said to do to delete the MySpace and it still didn't work. So like a couple nights I would pray to ask God if I could get it removed. And eventually did get it removed.
One of my friends was actually talking to someone on MySpace, like she met him on MySpace, and I guess she started like developing a crush on him. So she invited me and my other friend over to like see this guy's picture and everything. And one of my other friend was like looking at it and she's like, that's an Abercrombie & Fitch model. Like she's obsessed with Abercrombie & Fitch, and like it turned out to actually be fortunate. But my other friend didn't believe her and she's like, no, I really like this guy, he's really nice, and I totally believe everything he says. So we actually ended up going to Abercrombie & Fitch, the store, and there he was on a picture of him on a bag. So my friend was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm talking to I don't even know who I'm talking to." So it was just she was really fortunate because it could have been a really bad situation.
Yeah, and all too often, you look at situations where people that run sports teams, coaches sometimes put too much information on websites about their own teammates, pictures, and just enough information that a stalker could use to show up at a game or something like that.
I think people forget that the internet was originally designed to share information, So when you put something on the internet, it goes out to everybody, You can't control who sees that. Someone can copy and paste that, and suddenly 1,000 people have seen what you wrote on the internet. And I think you need to think about not just now, but in the future, what could happen with the pictures you post and the things you write on the internet, because there's plenty of instances where people were fired from their jobs, or colleges looked at MySpaces or Facebooks and didn't accept people because of what they had wrote or pictures that they posted. Because nowadays people have pictures of themselves in provocative poses or states of undress, and with beer cans and stuff, and any pictures like that, or if you write slanderous things or use profanity and stuff like that, it really can hurt your chances of getting somewhere in the future. Because if somebody sees that, who's in charge of your employment or you getting into college, they're not going to look on that favorably, So you really have to think about your future when you're putting information, not just personal stuff, but what you're writing and the pictures that you post. If it's of a provocative nature, it can really hurt your chances for the future.
Although the Bible was written thousands of years ago, I'm sure there are some teachings in there which we can apply to this situation.
Let's see what ideas the teens in the street had about this.
Next, we ask them what the Bible teaches us about respecting privacy and staying safe on the internet.
Let's check it out.
What do you think the Bible has to teach us about respecting privacy and staying safe on the internet?
I think the Bible has a lot to say about it.
If more people read the Bible, it's going to help them out.
The Bible teaches a lot about self-respect and everything, and you really need to keep that in mind because people do crazy stuff on there.
I don't really know the Bible that well, but I guess it basically tells you to respect yourself and others and not really to invade on other people.
While the Bible was written long before computers were invented, it still has wisdom for us.
The book of Psalms warns us that the wicked man lurks in a hiding place as the lion in his lair.
I personally, when I'm drawing wisdom from the Bible, I like not just to look at quotes and everything, but I like to draw things out of the Bible that I can relate to anybody, even those who don't have the kind of academic background on the Bible, the common sense stuff with faith. And I think a good way to start with that is just, WWJD. What would Jesus do? I think that is a great way to start when applying the Bible to your life, and in this case, to the internet. I think it's important to think, what would Jesus have pictures of himself on the internet doing these things? I don't think so, and I think that's an important, kind of measuring stick that you can use to apply to everything you do on the internet, a kind of moral guideline that it's simple, it's easy to remember, and I find it helps no matter what I'm doing on the internet. It helps give me a good set of morals that I can use to be a Catholic Christian both offline and online.
Yeah, I really agree with you there, Jack, because you do have to have a good set of morals when you're writing entries on your blog, let's say on your MySpace. You want to make sure people understand how you're really trying to portray yourself, and you want to be a moral person there.
Yeah, and when we post pictures online, we shouldn't abuse ourselves and our bodies. We should make it safe.
Because God's given us our bodies, and He's given us our time and our lives. And like Amanda said, she's had so much more time after deleting her MySpace. And so it's just something to think of. How are we using the time that God has given us on the internet? Which can be sometimes a good thing, but we can squander a lot of time if we don't use it wisely.
Something interesting that I was just thinking about. The Bible has wisdom and truth, and it can still be applied to our life, even though it's ancient, but it's ageless.
Which is why, we should always listen to the Bible and what God has to say, because God wants us to respect ourselves, respect each other, and love one another.
I think it comes down to three prongs, We have to look at it through morals, through personal safety and for our future. You know, so as Catholic Christians, we have to live as Catholic Christians and live as Jesus wanted us to do with the set of morals that he gave us in the Gospels. And then as people, we have to keep safe, you know, and we can't do anything that would endanger our safety or invite the interest of a predator, because that would obviously not be a safe thing to do. And then thirdly, we have to look to our future, because as young people, we have a bright future ahead of us, and we don't want to lose that hope of succeeding and everything and being a better person in the future and getting somewhere, because the things we put on the internet can really ruin our future. So I think it comes down to those three things, and if we watch that, the internet will be like a fun and safe place to be.
The internet brings people together and makes the world a smaller place.
It allows us to connect with friends and relatives around the world.
It can be a vital source of information and a way to get involved with a cause or interest.
So enjoy yourself, but be smart and protect your privacy and identity.
Do you have any advice or stories to share with us about being safe on the internet?
Share them with us through our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or you can call us at 609-406-7402.
And one final thought to remember: proceed with caution and prayer.
Pray for guidance and good judgment in these matters.
Just like King David prayed in Psalm 62.
My salvation and honor depend on God.
He is my strong protector. He is my shelter.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV.
God bless.